let us continue our study of volume 39. Now, volume 39, the theme is karma. So this is the volume 39. You can get all the materials on the website, which is given at the bottom of each page. Chapter 6, 39, in other words, SD 39.6. Āghāta Paṭivinaya Sutta, number 2. Āghāta means anger, resentment. Paṭivinaya means removing. You can see the word vinaya there. Right? Pati means something like you do it again and again, and you're doing it in the opposite direction, so to speak. That's if anger is coming, you push it away. Sutta 2. So there are 2 suttas here, same name, Āghāta Paṭivinaya Sutta 1, Sutta 2. Both suttas deal with the same topic. You can say they deal with anger management, if you like. Removing, if you want to translate the sutta name in English, it is the discourse on removing resentment. And Sutta 1 uses the method of the divine abodes, loving kindness and so on. And this Sutta 1 can be found in SD 12.23, in case you want to read that. It is in volume 12. So this is number 2. The method used here instead of wise attention, yoniso manasikāra. Yoniso means the womb, to something with the womb. Here meaning going back to the basics. What is it all really about? Manasikāra means attention, keeping the mind in a certain way. So directing the mind in a proper way. Or sometimes, usually we translate it as wise attention. Wise attention. This sutta is very short, but very important, very helpful, very inspiring, where 5 kinds of people are given. People we might resent, might feel upset with, and then the Buddha uses 5 beautiful analogies. So these are like reflections for loving kindness. These are very useful in meditation therapy. In other words, after you have counseled this person who has a problem with anger or some negative emotions, when the person is calm enough and ready, you can teach him or her one of these reflections, if you like. There are 5 of them. When we teach this kind of sutta, this kind of reflection, we do it in a proper way. In other words, it's not you have to act it out, you have to feel it, you have to do it yourself, so to speak. So the person listens, and the person also learns basically how to do it by your own example. So this is teaching by example, it's not just talking. There's a lot of talking about Dharma everywhere, but nobody really practices it. Whereas here, you show it yourself, okay? And the other party, the other person who follows, practices it. Now, in summary, let me just do a quick summary. You can see the summary in section 2 on page 112. The list of the 5 kinds of people are in section 121. In the first case, someone impure in deed but pure in speech. So this is really dealing with reality, right? The real situation. You find not everybody is totally bad, not everybody is totally good. So in the first case, this person, his actions are not very wholesome, but his speech is okay, his speech is pure. So we do get upset with this person, so what do we do? In the second case, this person, his speech is impure, negative, but actions are okay. Now in the third person, both action and speech are impure on both sides. And the fourth person, both negative, action and speech are negative, and shows no faith. Doesn't have any good feeling towards the Dhamma teaching. And the fifth one is someone pure both ways and shows some faith through meditation. So this is a way of summary. And again, by way of summary, how we deal with such people is given in section 2.0. In the case of the first person, whose speech is pure, but action is not pure, we wisely attend. In other words, we only direct our attention to the positive side. That's the general principle throughout the sutta. We direct our mind to the positive aspect of this person. And the parable here is that of dust-heap monk. This monk practices the strict rule of using only dust-heap ropes. We'll come to this parable in a moment. Number 2, wisely attend. In the case of the second person whose speech is not good but action is good, you think only of his positive action. And here the parable is about the overgrown lotus leg. In the case of the third person who is negative in both ways, action and speech, then here attend only to his appearance of faith. These are someone probably you met in the temple or someone you know. So think of this person's faith in the Dharma. In the fourth case, where this person is impure both ways and has no faith at all, then show your compassion, reflecting on the results of the karma he has to face, the painful coming fruit. And then the last one, the fifth kind of person, someone pure both ways and also has faith in the Dharma. So in this case, we think of his action, his speech, or his attitude. You can reflect on any of the good aspect of his conduct. Just choose one which you can manage. Of course, this last one is interesting because this last one shows he's a good person. He'll probably get upset for different reasons. Maybe the person said something strong which we disagree with, or maybe we could feel jealous, or some kind of negative reaction. Yeah. So anytime we can even feel upset towards our people we love, towards our teacher. So this is where we think of something positive about this person. So notice all these are very useful in counseling, especially. And the sutta itself is a kind of reflection which we can use. We can record it and then listen to it, and then after that our minds are peaceful and we're ready for meditation. Now the sutta translation is on page 118, the second discourse on removing resentment. Again, look at the sutta number A5.162. A5.162. So it's from Āghāta Paṭivinaya. Then the Venerable Sariputta addressed the monks. Avuso. And then Avuso, the monks replied to the Venerable Sariputta in essence. The Venerable Sariputta said this. So this teaching is given by Venerable Sariputta, the wisest of the monks after the Buddha. Avuso, there are these 5 ways of removing resentment, so that resentment that has arisen in a monk would be removed completely. So this is a reflection, how to clear the mind of negative thoughts, negative emotions, especially resentment, deal with it. The second negative root of motivation. Right, now we have the syllabus. What are the 5? Here also a certain person is impure in bodily conduct but pure in verbal conduct. Also resentment towards a person should be removed. Furthermore, here also a certain person is impure in verbal conduct but pure in bodily conduct. Also resentment towards such a person too should be removed. Furthermore, here also a certain person is both impure in bodily conduct and impure in verbal conduct. But occasionally he obtains an open mind, a heart of right faith. So either this person meditates or this person is by nature full of faith. Just that there's difficulty with action and speech. Also resentment towards such a person too should be removed. Also here also a certain person is both impure in bodily conduct and impure in verbal conduct, but does not obtain an open mind, a heart of right faith, even occasionally. Right? So this is the real bad guy, so to speak. Impure in action, impure in speech, and also lacks faith. Also, resentment towards such a person too should be removed. Next one, fifth kind of person. Furthermore, here also, a certain person is both pure in bodily conduct and pure in verbal conduct, and occasionally obtains an open mind, a heart of right faith. This open mind, a heart of right faith, technically refers to the meditating on loving kindness, or even breath meditation person who's very happy, and body and speech also wholesome. So, also resentment towards such a person too should be removed. So these are the 5 kinds of people, 4 somehow negative people and 1 positive person. And then the sutta goes on to deal with each of them one by one. The person and then the parable. Let's look at the first kind of person, the one of impure deeds but pure speech. Here also, as regards a certain person who is impure in bodily conduct but pure in verbal conduct, how should resentment towards that person be removed? Okay, here we have the parable of the dust-heap monk, the Pansakula monk. Also, just as a dust-heap or Pansakulika monk, seeing a shred of rag on the road, steps on it with his left foot and spreads it out with his right, would right there tear off the good part and taking it with him would go his way. Even so also, as regards a certain person who is impure in bodily conduct but pure in verbal conduct, one should pay no attention to his impure bodily conduct at that time, but instead pay attention to his pure verbal conduct at that time. In this way, should the resentment for him be removed. So here you have a very clear figure, clear parable, if you like. Here's an example of a forest monk. A monk is keeping one of the strict rules, one of the 13 strict rules, and this is to only use what is called rag rope. The rag rope, in other words, he will collect pieces of cloth from here and there, stitch them together. Okay? So from this parable, we have a good idea how the monks collect this kind of pieces of cloth. Sometimes some parts of the cloth are dirty or torn, so he will step on it and then tear the good part away and take it. So it's really a patchwork. And he doesn't cut it off, doesn't trim it, look very nice. In fact, it's quite ticklish to wear. If you know what I mean. So this is very simple rag ropes. So here the idea is we remove the negative parts, we only keep the good part, just like this Pansakulika monk. So this is a very wonderful picture to keep in mind. So it's something to reflect here. Then number 2 is the person of impure speech but pure deeds. Right, the first one was action was bad, speech okay, like here, speech is bad, action is okay. In other words, in this case, maybe, you got a scolding from the teacher, for example. Here also, as regards the certain person who is impure in verbal conduct but pure in bodily conduct, how should resentment towards that person be removed? Okay, here we have the parable of the overgrown lotus lake. Also, just as there is a lotus lake overgrown with seval and water plants, so imagine, these are all the tiny little water plants. And a person all scorched up, overcome by heat, were to come along, tired, parched, and thirsty. He would plunge into the lotus lake and with both hands push aside the seva and water plants, this way and that way, and filling his cupped hands with water, drink it and then depart. So here we have the parable. This man has traveled along the road very hot and tired and dirty and dusty, so he sees this wonderful, beautiful lotus lake. So in India, these lotus lakes are very cool. No? And so he'll push away the plants and then wash himself and drink the water, satisfying his thirst. So this is a reflection. Now, again here we have to be very careful, the intention of the parable. We've got to be aware of the cultural aspects. Remember the Buddha's advice in the book of Truths about nitata and neyata, meaning which is already clear, meaning which needs to be drawn out. Certain aspects of this teaching, the meaning must be drawn out. Here the teaching is definitely not about drinking water from a lotus lake. We don't do that nowadays. We know we have water from the tap, for example. So that's not what the parable is about. The parable is about this man who has been traveling very tired, very warm and dirty and thirsty, and he comes to this place and to this lake and pushes away all the plants and he drinks the water. Of course, you want to modernize this, you can say someone's very thirsty and then he reaches home and then he opens the door and he goes to the kitchen, gets a clean cup and drinks water, something like that. Yeah? So now comes the application of the parable. You will notice whenever the application starts, you see the word even so. Okay? This is section 11.3. Even so, also, as regards the certain person who is impure in verbal conduct but pure in bodily conduct, one should pay no attention to his impure verbal conduct at that time, but instead pay attention to his pure bodily conduct at that time. In this way, should the resentment for him be removed. Right? So again, just think of the positive aspect of this person. So this is directing our mind in a loving kindness way, remembering the positive aspects of a person. Now the third kind of person, this one is he is both impure and wholesome in speech as well as in his actions and deeds. Here also as regards the certain person who is both impure in bodily conduct and impure in verbal conduct, but occasionally obtains an open mind, a heart of bright faith. How should resentment towards that person be removed? What kind of person is this? Maybe this person he gives Dhamma talks, but somehow he's not very friendly, and his words are not friendly, his conduct also not friendly. So we might get upset with such people. But then occasionally you see very peaceful, meditating. Right? So you feel good about that. Meditating aspect. So the parable here is a very interesting one. It's the hoof-print puddle. Hoof-print puddle, tiny little collection of water on the ground. It's like at first it was muddy and then the cattle will step on it and the hoof goes in the mud, there's a little hole there, and then the sun comes out and dries up the place, but there's still this little water left in the little hoof print in the mud. So here, I'm reading 13.1. Also, just as there is little water in the cow's hoof print, and a person all scorched up, overcome by the heat, were to come along tired, parched, and thirsty, this occurred to him. Now there is this bit of water in a cow's hoof print. If I were to use my finger or a cup, I would disturb and muddy it up, and making it unfit for drinking. What now if I were to go down all fours and drink like a cow does and then go my way? So he would go down all fours and slurp it up like a cow and go his way. Even so, this is the way we are supposed to direct our minds towards this person who is impure both in bodily conduct and verbal conduct, but occasionally he has an open, happy mind. So in other words here, 13.6, we pay attention only to his faith, his joy meditation, for example. So in this way we remove our resentment or anger. This parable reminds me of a time when I went camping myself. I was quite a young teenager then. We climbed one of here, this Gunung Ledan in South Malaysia, Peninsular Malaysia, between Johor and Malacca. Those days there were no roads going on, the whole trees all the way. And these young student friends of mine, I told them not to drink the water too quickly. It's the first time for them going out into the mountains. So they finished all the water and we are hardly gone halfway. So now we've got no more water left. And I was myself very thirsty. And then there was no stream at the steep hill. Then I found this can, kind of probably a sardine can, already opened and thrown there. The water was very clean and clear. So I took that canned water and drank it. At that time, you don't think of germs or anything, because I know the rain has been falling there and the water was quite clean and clear. I was drinking a few slurps, and then my friend pulled me back and said, "You better stop drinking." I said, "Why?" He says, "Well, don't drink too much. If you die, you all will be lost." So that was a very powerful memory I had about this, drinking from a cow's hoof-print. So here again, remember, of course you can discuss in some detail all these parables, cow hoof-print is very small, but there's water there, and this water is very important for life. So this represents, of course, obviously represents this negative person, negative action, negative speech, but his mind, at that time, he does meditation and he's happy at that time. So there is a little bit of goodness in him, in other words. So all this must be reflected on. Okay? We can discuss this. Then we come to number 4, the fourth kind of person. This person is impure in speech, impure in deeds, and the mind also is unpleasant. Here also, as regards the certain person who is both impure in bodily conduct and impure in verbal conduct, who does not obtain an open mind, a heart of bright faith, even occasionally, how should resentment towards that person be removed? Okay, now this person is body, speech, unwholesome. The mind also unwholesome. Body, speech, and mind all unwholesome, right? So this is the worst of the 5 kinds of persons. How do we deal with such people? Now you go to a temple, you find there are all kinds of people, right? And we will feel very deep trouble if we meet someone who's very negative, especially in a temple, for example, in a Buddhist center. But they are there. That's the reality. Maybe they feel some kind of peace when they go there. But somehow they're still sad, troubled by something, so their body and their speech are still unwholesome, their minds also unwholesome. So here the parable is that of the suffering traveler. 15.1, the suffering traveler. Also, suppose a sick person in pain, seriously ill, is traveling on the road, far from the next village, and far from the one behind. 2. He would be unable to find suitable food or suitable medicine, but a proper attendant or someone to guide him to a village. Right? So imagine, this person is very sick, he's a traveler, he's fallen sick, and he's all alone. The next village is very far, and then behind also there's no one coming along. So he's struggling. really a difficult image here. But something good is happening here. A certain person would see the traveler on the road. Okay, this is you or me, okay? We see this troubled, this sick, suffering traveler. A certain person would see the traveler on the road out of compassion for him. He would attend to him. Out of pity, he would attend to him. Out of kindness, he would attend to him, thinking, oh, that this man would get suitable food, or suitable medicine, or a proper attendant, or someone to guide him to a village. Why is that? So that he does not fall into any disaster or calamity. Right? So this, in fact, is karuna sanya, perception of compassion, or practice of compassion. This is a very good example. Even so, I would say, as regards a certain person who is both impure in bodily conduct and impure in verbal conduct and does not obtain an open mind, a heart of right faith, or even occasionally. So we show our compassion to this person. And that's not all. How do we think of this? Further down, 15.8, we think in this way. Oh, that this venerable one, here venerable one simply means this person, this good person, would abandon bodily impurity, cultivate bodily purity, abandon verbal impurity and cultivate verbal purity, abandon mental impurity and cultivate mental purity. Why is that? Let not this venerable one with the bodies breaking up after death be reborn in the plane of misery, an evil destination, a lower realm in hell. In this way should the resentment for him be removed. Right? So we reflect on the karma of this person. Again, notice how this is done. This is not a kind of rationalization. We say, too bad for him, he act like this, he's going to go to hell. Not so. Rather, we go into meditation mode. We send our thoughts of loving kindness, thoughts of compassion to this person. We can mentally address this person and say, may you be strong enough to overcome your negative action. May you be strong to overcome your negative speech. May you be strong enough to overcome your negative mind, so that when you pass away, you will not be involved in a suffering state, something like that. So the wording must be positive. Okay? We have to be very careful not to feel self-satisfied. We say, oh, this person, you're going to, when you die, you're going to go to hell, and then because the wording is as if you wish that would happen. So it must be done in a proper loving kindness kind of method here. So we send our positive thoughts to this person. And the thoughts have the power to change people. We do this regularly. Then the last one, fifth kind of person, towards one with pure speech, pure deed, as well as an open mind. So this is a very positive person. Here also one regards the certain person who is both pure in bodily conduct and pure in verbal conduct, who occasionally obtains an open mind and a heart of right faith. How should resentment towards that person be removed? Okay, first of all here, why do we resent such a person? Why should we get angry with such a person? What kind of person is this? Well, this kind of person can range from anyone who is by nature kind, friendly speech, and his mind also, is positive, meditates. So body, speech, and mind, all the three karmic doors are positive. But somehow maybe we say, oh, this person, why is he like that? Why is he so kind, so nice? So we might get upset with them for some reason. Maybe we don't even know the reason. So this is where we get into meditation mode again. As prescribed here, we should look at in a moment the pleasant lotus leg. And then by doing so, we might discover why we are upset towards this person. Or this person could even be our own teacher, or could be a Dharma speaker, or the counselor. So in other words, we can get upset with anyone, right? Or maybe even our loved one in the family. So this is a very useful reflection. We can get upset even with good people, in other words. The pleasant lotus lake. Also, just as there is a lotus lake with clear water, sweet and cool, and a beautiful stretch of white sand, shaded by various pleasant trees. So this parable is slightly different from the first one. The first one you have this lake with lotuses and water plants. So here you have the lake, and as well as this beautiful sandy beach by the side. The bank is very clean, wonderful sand. And here again you have this person, and a person all scorched up, overcome by the heat, were to come along, tired, parched and thirsty. Having gone to the water, bathed and drunk, he would emerge and sit or lie down right there in the shade of the trees. And so comes out of the water, just relax, very happy. So this is a very happy kind of parable. Even so, also, as regards a certain person, both pure in bodily conduct and pure in verbal conduct, and occasionally obtains an open mind, a heart of right faith, one should at times pay attention to the purity of his bodily conduct. One should at times pay attention to the purity of his verbal conduct, or at times when he obtains an open mind, a heart of right faith, pay attention to that. In this way, the resentment for him should be removed, or would be removed. Yeah? The Sutta closes by saying, also, when a person's heart is bright with faith, he is thoroughly pleasant or charming. Samanta pasadika, thoroughly charming. Yeah? Here, this line can refer to either the positive person or you yourself. Yeah? So, in other words, our heart is bright with faith too because we look at the positive side of this person. So, although here the teaching, the mechanics of the teaching is that of what's called yoniso manasikāra, wise attention, it is the dynamics of it is loving kindness and compassion. So in a sense, the first Sutta 1, Sutta 2, they address the same issues and use the same method, so to speak, same idea like that. The parables are, I suppose, the words are different, right? The Sutta closes, Buddha says, these are also the 5 ways of removing resentment, by which resentment that has arisen in a monk would be removed completely. So there you are. We have this short and very important sutta which tells us how to overcome a negative state of mind by reflecting on certain very beautiful parables. So once again, the parables, the 5 parables are, number 1, a dust-heap monk. In the case of the dust-heap monk, he finds a piece of cloth on the ground, he steps on it with the left foot and tears away the good piece of cloth. So here is where we reflect only on the positive aspect of the person. So this is in the case of a person whose speech is positive. Right? Action is negative, but speech is positive. So the cloth represents speech in this case. Then in the case of the overgrown lotus lake, right, you have this beautiful, cool water, and the traveler is very thirsty, and tired and parched. And he goes to the water, spreads all the plants away, and then drinks the water. So this action is like we direct our mind in a positive way towards a person's good actions, and we don't bother about his negative speech. And then you have the parable of the hoof-print puddle. This is 2 feet of water in the hoof-print of a cow, and then we bend down. Or this person in the parable bends down and carefully drinks the water, so that the water is clean, and he drinks the clean water. So this is where we attend to, we direct our mind to a person's faith, person's joy. Although his action and speech are negative, but his mind is positive. And then you have a difficult parable, the sick, suffering traveler. Right? We show compassion towards the sick, suffering traveler. Here is where this person is negative in all counts. Body, speech, and mind is negative. So you would reflect, said, oh, this poor man is like this traveler who is sick. And if we meet a sick traveler, we should help him every way we can. So here is where we practice the cultivation of compassion. Right? Karuna bhavana, karuna sanya, perception of compassion. We can do all these reflections in retrospect also. In other words, sometimes we might recall some people with such negative attitudes, so we can use this, right, on a negative person. And again here, this is where we can use this kind of meditation in the fourth stage of loving kindness meditation, where we think of someone negative. Right? Sometimes you think of someone negative and just say, may you be well, may you be happy. It's not easy. So this is where you can use one of these parables. Visualize this parable. Notice all these parables are actually they are visualization exercises. Use them and then direct your compassion, your loving kindness towards this negative subject. Whereas in the fifth case, the pleasant lotus lake with the beautiful shore, we have this this person is wholesome, body, speech, and mind. But we still get upset with this person anyway for some reason. Maybe we ask a Dharma question, this person did not answer fully, or maybe we did not have a chance to answer, to get the answer to the question we want to ask. So we picture this person again, and then we can choose any one of the positive qualities which we can connect with and reflect in that way. So this is where you imagine you see this beautiful lake, and then you have this shore also, right? For where to rest. So the shore is like represents something like the mind, if you like. So no need to worry in too much detail what each of the components of the parable represent. The idea is the feeling of it when you picture this, when you visualize this figure, this parable, is to transform the negative energy, negative emotion into something positive. So these are the 5 kinds of persons, the 5 parables, and 5 methods of overcoming the negative mind. Notice how beautiful this sutta is. Any questions here? Right. Okay, I think we end here. So let's close this. Today we reflected on a very beautiful sutta on how to deal with negative people with negative emotions. It is a very practical sutta for our reflection and practice. The sutta, the teachings of the Buddha is still with us, reminding us how to be truly happy. And we can still cultivate this by studying the suttas. That is why the suttas are so valuable and precious to us. These simple teachings are for direct practice, not for philosophizing or talking, but for practice, so that we heal ourselves, heal other people. And when we are happy, it is easier for us to keep the precepts also, to practice the other teachings in the Dharma. Reflecting in this way is very good karma. With the power of these good deeds we have done, may we attain a peaceful mind in our meditations, whenever we sit, whenever we try to meditate. And in this life itself, may we attain spiritual liberation, namely stream winning. In this peaceful moment, let us send our loving kindness to all our friends and relatives. May they be well, may they be happy. And we should especially send our loving kindness to people whom the Dharma have yet to touch, that they may touch the Dharma, that they may see the Dharma quickly and benefit from it. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.